The grade of 515 is the trophy grade.
It's just a number, but in some way it represents the unattainable.
The top end of the game.
515, honestly, I don't know exactly what that is because I haven't done it. It's kind of like breaking the 4-minute mile. It's this magical barrier.
Having that number in front of you creates this anxious feeling.
It takes so much work and so much talent.
You have to be an Olympic athlete, essentially.
515 has been a goal of mine for years now. It's not easy, man.
I don't know anything about 515. I've never climbed 515. I've never even tried, I've never even touched the holds on a 515.
Only a few male climbers have achieved the grade.
And we've still been waiting for the first 515 ascent by a woman.
Today, there's definitely an evolution of more women climbing. Pushing it in every discipline. Training really, really hard.
This is a huge moment in our sport.
The girls are catching up to the guys. Right now what we're looking at is this big number of 515, and there's a handful of women gunning for it. We're all sort of sitting at the edge of our chairs saying, who's gonna do it?
But I don't think Margot Hayes was really on anyone's short list.
Why is it that I'm a person and I'm not a toad?
Good night.
Okay. My name's Margot Hayes, and I'm have a cough. Okay, wait, start over.
As far as climbing 15A, Margot just wasn't on my radar.
I didn't hear anyone talking about Margot trying 515.
Smile, Margot. No. Head up a tiny bit. Be more fierce.
If you want to climb 515, there's no greater concentration on Earth than northern Spain.
Spain is the mecca for hard sport climbing.
The amount of quality test pieces is mind-blowing.
Of all the 515s, La Rambla is one of the most iconic routes.
La Rambla has been talked about as long as I've been a climber. It's an Alex Huber route, rarely climbed.
Super long, giant moves, like a really harder style of climbing.
John Cardwell and I had made these plans to go to Spain and try La Rambla. Margot was living in Europe at the time. We know Margot from climbing in Colorado. I was her coach when she was a kid. She wanted to join us, but we had no idea what her goal was. We certainly didn't think that it was La Rambla.
We walk up to the crag in Sirona. It's pretty intense. There's all these world-class climbers. Margot walked straight over to La Rambla and started tying in.
She was this unknown 19-year-old getting on one of the hardest routes in Sirona.
And a lot of people at the crag were skeptical in the beginning, kind of like, why is she trying it? Why is she up there? Maddie and I definitely had our doubts.
We had trained our ass off for this route. We were like, are you sure? You sure you're ready?
When I can sense others doubting what I can do, it's only more motivating. My determination triples. I've been thinking about La Rambla for quite some time. I had watched countless videos, visualized the sequences and the moves.
And I came here to climb my first 515.
Come on, Margot!
The men who have climbed it tend to use brute strength to get through the moves.
I have quite a bit of flexibility. My feet can go above my head. My hips can stay pretty close to the wall.
Come on, Margot!
It was pretty clear that she had done her homework. She
She was ready for the fight.
It's like
We were all working together on the route, trading burns.
It's like, it's everything I have.
We started to realize that she could send this route, and she's probably going to send it before both of us.
Most people only can try it 1 or 2 times before they're just exhausted. But Margot, she would try it 3 times, 4 times a day.
Oh, I blew it.
Come on, come on. Come on. Your hands, huh? Did they survive?
I was bleeding so bad, you should see those holes.
Wow, they do look pretty ravaged.
Usually, before the last try, she would look to Maddie and I with like bleeding fingertips and tape everywhere and ask like, should I try it again? Like, I wouldn't, but if you want to, I'll belay you.
She was relentless, she was focused. But I've known Margot since she was little. She's been like that her entire life.
Oh, and who's this?
Margot.
How are you feeling, Margot?
I'm feeling fine.
After falling in the river.
As soon as she could walk, she was a very active kid, climbing up on top of the chicken coop and climbing up in trees. Instantly, she was a very competitive individual.
I competed as a gymnast. I always wanted to challenge myself and get better. I've been setting goals since I can remember.
We find little pieces of paper sitting around the house that have Margot's goals. I mean, those aren't simple goals. You know, gold medal in the Olympics.
I would maybe push it a little too fast and go for skills that maybe I wasn't quite ready for.
She ended up breaking bones in her feet 7 times.
At one point, I broke a bone in my foot at the gym. I knew that it would mean I had to take time off, and I didn't want to tell my coach. I just wanted to keep doing gymnastics. I went into the bathroom.
Well, I'm thinking, why does she keep going in the bathroom? And it turns out that she had fractured her foot, and she was putting her foot in the toilet to ice it and not tell me.
During that time, I decided I wanted to cut my hair short.
Number 2 buzz cut on her head.
And I remember saying, I'm gonna be able to do more pull-ups now because I'm lighter.
She had a lot of personality. You just sense that drive in somebody who's just, wow, this person's willing to do anything and willing to try hard, and is a perfectionist. And Margot had the wow factor. You see somebody do a skill, and you just go, wow. We selected her as very talented, and we started developing her for the Talent Opportunity Program, Olympic Selection Committee.
I qualified for the national testing, which was in Texas at Bela Caroli's ranch. And I remember my mom picking me up from school, and she said, you qualified? And I was like, A team or B team? And she was like, B team. And I remember just crying. Ever since I was little, I've always wanted to be the best in things that I tried.
Catch Gymnastics, where Margot trained as a gymnast, also doubles as a climbing gym. Being in Boulder, Colorado, we have some of the best in the world training there.
I remember watching the climbers on the wall, like Robin Irwisfield and Lynn Hill.
She would watch people climbing and training, and she was kind of curious about it.
I did some top roping, and I ended up liking climbing.
She came to Team ABC with really high expectations and goals for herself.
I would show up at practice and Margot would already be there ready to go, and all the other kids would be kind of running around goofing off, and she was different, very driven, very focused.
And it really struck me as quite unusual that such a young girl was so serious and so willing to push herself.
The first time that I went to a competition and I got butterflies in my stomach, I was like, okay, I like this, I can do this sport, you know?
She did her first 5.12 and then her first 5.13 and then her first 5.14.
That's when we first started to get wind of what's this girl capable of.
I think I started believing in my own ability more and more.
And there was no stopping that kid.
You know, I see Margot come to Rifle and do Bad Girls Club. That route is really thuggy, mean, one of the hardest ascents in the US. To see her do that, I was just like, whoa.
After I graduated from high school, I decided to move to Europe. learn another language, challenge myself, and climb hard.
In Europe, it's a really great place to be based if you want to push yourself in the sport. In 1990, I moved to France and I lived there for 5 years. It's a little bit like if you're a surfer, you go move to Hawaii. My goal was to be the first woman to climb 514. There were people like Jibé Tribu who said, oh, a woman will never do 514. Oh, really? I'm going to find a way to do it. And so I ended up doing a route that he had put up, the first female ascent of a 514. I knew it was possible, and it was really important to me to actually prove that it was. That's the same thing that Margot's doing. There's an objective out there, she knows it's possible, and she's going to find a way to do it. If you have any doubt, and you're right at that threshold, and you think that 515 belongs to men or only these people can do it, then that little bit of weakness can cause you to fail.
Come on, Margot!
What is the 515 barrier?
Good.
Is it that women haven't tried it? Do we not believe we can do it? Is Margot going to change that?
Come on, Margot. You can do this. Come on. Good. Yes. Good. Come on. Come on. Let's go, Margot. Yes. Yes.
You get to this point where you know it's possible for you and you know you can do it. It's important to stay in the moment, breathe, relax.
Come on.
On the last two moves, my breathing started to change. I felt like I was shaking.
I'm dreaming.
Nice job.
Yeah.
It was a big deal for the climbing community, for women, for all of us.
I was like, oh man, go Margot.
She sends La Rambla. It's this incredible experience. And then she's already writing down new goals. It's like La Rambla was just this stepping stone for something bigger.
After climbing La Rambla, I was ready for the new challenge. I've been living in the south of France.
just a short drive away from the legendary climbing spot, Sayus. Biography is such a historic line. One of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful in the world.
It's on a long crag at the top of a hill with an open view on south of France. So the place is beautiful.
I was 3 years old when Chris Sharma climbed Biography.
It was a huge deal. The first 515, the hardest climb in the world.
Biography was this futuristic project. You know, I wanted to try the next level and see what I was capable of.
Even Chris, he spent 4 summers to climb that route. And after Chris, it's a lot of long stories. The French guy Sylvain Millet, he spent 130 tries and 8 years only focusing on that. A lot of very strong climbers spend a lot of time.
It's such a challenge for so many climbers. You know, with all of the history behind the line, it comes with a lot of weight.
I was back in the States. Margot was already starting to try Biography, and she convinced Daniel Woods and I to come project it with her. Wow.
When Maddie and I got there, Margot was going in deep with Biography, already making good links. I was impressed. I mean, she was able to climb the first half of the route pretty easy.
There are difficult sections throughout the route. It has all different aspects of sport climbing. Endurance is important, but power is also important. It's powerful and delicate.
It was impressive watching Margot on Biography. She would fall on a section and immediately pull back up, latch onto the wall, and just rehearse the section. Take, lower, rehearse the same section again until she just had every move ingrained into her system.
At the top, that's when it's the make or break. You've already climbed 75, 80 feet. I go up right hand to a little crimp. Then I go left hand to a foothold. And I reach straight up. And I go out right to a pocket, which I really love actually. And I reach up far left hand. The little bowling ball, the pocket with a thumb.
This hold shuts down a lot of climbers. When Sharma was trying the first ascent, he fell here dozens of times, year after year.
One time I actually got that left hand.
Come on. Yes. Come on, Margot.
I was so excited and I was off.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Ah, good effort.
God, I was bleeding so bad. I felt so good. That was it.
She was bleeding all over the holds.
I literally slipped on my own blood.
But Margot, she never wants to rest, and she kept throwing herself at it.
Come on.
Take. I think I should rest my tendon.
Does it hurt?
Yeah. I'm just gonna do this part and then be done.
Maddie and I tried to get Margot to slow down so she wouldn't get a long-term injury, but she wouldn't listen. She just kept raging on the route. And I could tell that just the way she was climbing on it, her finger was affecting her a lot.
What the heck? Oh. Wait, you're lowering me?
Yeah, I'm pulling rank. That was a winner.
All of us worked Biography for a month.
Come on, Daniel, try hard.
Daniel and I got shut down and we had to go home empty-handed. But Margot, she just kept working it.
Time went by, and I took so many trips up to Sayus that it's hard for me to count. Biography.
Good luck.
Thank you.
It's much more difficult for me than the rumble was. Physically, but mostly mentally.
I think that this period for Margot was a period of exploration. Okay, I've done 5:15, but then questioning where her limit is.
To her, it's not about the great 5:15, not about being the first woman. It's just about pushing herself.
Some days I'm at home and then I have the telescope. When someone tries biography, I go and see. When Margot come for this, I'm very curious.
I was fortunate enough with biography to have a really great mentor, Arnaud Petit, a legendary climber here in France.
I've not seen someone working that hard route. She's inspiring. She's really focused on what she does, but she gives a lot, maybe too much sometimes.
It's raining out there right now. I mean, it's not ideal, but that doesn't mean it can't happen.
The route's wet, it's dripping down the wall. If the route's wet, like that just doesn't really, you can't really climb hard when it's wet. But yeah, she's psyched. I don't get it.
No, it's okay. I tried. I don't know. I'm glad I came up today.
Yeah.
So, let's see.
Margot's biggest weakness is she just has a hard time turning the light out. The biggest wish and the biggest hope I'll always have for Margot is that she can find a balance between being so driven and having fun.
I learned a lot from Margot. Her way to be positive, to be better for the next days. And this state of mind she has is quite incredible, I think. Margot, she has no limits.
She's training like a beast, like training. People say, who's she, who's this girl?
I guess this climb means a lot to me. I think that biography is kind of a metaphor for life. Well, the climb doesn't come easily. And you have to put the work in. You have to stay present and in the moment. It's definitely teaching me patience and letting go and coming back fearless. When you break through and when you do make it happen, it's this feeling that you can't really describe. Like, kind of getting emotional.